morning.
That'd be me. Be me.
Go ahead.
I won't do that. I won't do that. Good morning, everybody. Morning. We are not going live on Facebook today because we can't quite figure out how to connect. So we're going to be recording. Are you recording? Yep. Okay. We're going to be recording and then we'll put it on Facebook later. And I do want to just quickly, while I'm up here, say thank you to Connie. This is the first time she's actually led us in a service. She's doing a great job. So it's great. And I do have a reading for you today. I'm just kind of shaking things up a little bit. So I'm not doing it in the standard order because you guys know me. I'm just, as my friend Alka says, the irreverent reverend. I always do things a little differently than everybody else, right? Okay. I don't believe in ghosts. Strange thing for a medium to say, isn't it? And I have to confess that as I wrote this, the light in my room blinked at me, but that wasn't because I believe in ghosts. What I believe in is our ability to telepathically interact with the unseen world. And for many of us, that can manifest as seeing what isn't physically there. You think clairvoyance. Right? Hearing beyond our ears, think clairaudience, and feeling energetic or vibrational shifts, think clairsentience. I also believe that certain traumatic events in the physical world create an imprint on our collective space and time, and that those imprints can be read off the atmosphere, kind of like a book, or will automatically play for sensitive souls at places like the battlefield of Gettysburg, Auschwitz, or the World Trade Center. And along those same lines, I believe that energetic imprints exist in places and objects that were held, cherished, loved, or even abhorred by those who were here in the physical beings. And these too can be read by those who are attuned, what we call psychometry. Okay? I believe that we carry pieces of people who have hurt or wounded us. And once these people have crossed, those unhealed pains can manifest as what we call hauntings until we find the strength to heal those wounds. I believe that we, as energetic souls in the manifest, have more power than we recognize and are able to contribute our own energy and blend with unseen energy to create what we view as supernatural experiences. So there you go. I don't believe in ghosts. But wait, let's stop for a minute and take a look at this. Tom was already giggling at me. Let's take a look at this from a different way. What exactly is a ghost? For those of you who've listened to my homilies, you didn't think you were going to get away without getting a definition, right? Never does. So I took 3 definitions from the Oxford Learner's Dictionary. I had my S in the wrong place. Ghost, the spirit of a dead person that a living person believes they can see or hear. Interesting. So if I'm going to be totally honest, my belief in our ability to telepathically interact with the unseen world really sort of says the same thing, doesn't it? Ghost, the memory of something, especially something bad. Doesn't sound so far off from my belief that traumatic events create an imprint on our collective space and time, right? Very similar. Ghost, a very small amount of something that is left behind or that you are not really sure exists. And I did say that I believe that energetic imprints in places and objects, they can be read by us, right? So a little slight amount of something that's left. So maybe I do believe in ghosts after all. Maybe I do. So maybe the reason that I say that I don't believe in ghosts is because I don't believe in the fear-based narrative of entities that are wandering around going, ooh, although I did have that experience once, but and launching objects at my head or making slime ooze from the walls. That's the thing I don't believe in. What many view as ghosts is actually the manifestation of those things that I believe in. Just seen from a different angle, just looking at it a little bit differently. So I say that I don't believe in ghosts, but that's not true. What I can say is that I believe that everyone crosses over. No soul gets left behind. But there are pieces that we hold on to here. There are imprints that remain in the physical world, and those are what we experience as hauntings or spirit activity. And like with everything else, every person is going to have their own unique experience. To some, the experience will seem positive. To others, it's going to appear negative. What I'm in the process of learning continually is that using a broad statement like "I don't believe in" automatically creates a wall, a division between me and someone who experiences life differently than I do. It's creating an us and them scenario instead of a we scenario. You know, I told you I'm in the process of learning this continually, and this hasn't been an easy lesson all of the time. It really hasn't. And if I'm honest, I do continually have to work at it, especially in the fired up atmosphere we've got going on right now, right? I have to keep working on it. When I first began this journey, I knew that I had to learn as much as I could. I was experiencing things and I needed to understand them. So I was attending classes in various places with various teachers. And at the same time, I was blessed to be able to connect to spirit. And I was learning directly from spirit at the time also. So the goal as I look back at it was to integrate what I was learning in the physical world from physical teachers with what was being revealed to me from the spiritual world. But that isn't always what happened. I would learn something in the physical world, and then spirit would work with me to help me evolve a deeper meaning or a deeper understanding. And then my human nature would kick in. I must be someone special. I was divinely taught something that apparently a lot of other people just didn't understand. And I would cling to that truth like I was a passenger on the Titanic and that my newly discovered truth was the last lifeboat. And sometimes I would allow myself to get fired up about what spiritual teachers in the physical world were bringing forth when it didn't agree with what I had received or been led to. I was a walking litany of I don't believes. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in past lives. I don't believe in demons. And then I've shared this story before. I've got another story for you. I've shared it before in many classes and development circles and talks. So you may have heard it, but it may be one of the most enlightening experiences I've had on this journey. So I'm sharing it again. It's towards the beginning of the pandemic, where we were in one of Story's Oracle circles, the ones that Connie just advertised for us. And we were tuning in to receive divine guidance and healing to help us wrap our heads around what was going on in the world. And during our meditation, I found myself sitting at a table in a library surrounded by shelves of books. A woman in a nurse's cap wearing a mask approached me. I heard the name Liz, and then the scene was flooded with roses. When we were done with the meditation, I Googled Elizabeth and roses and found Saint Elizabeth of Hungary. She was known for the miracle of roses. Saint Elizabeth was married to a German count, and one day while she was smuggling food from the castle to bring to the poor, her husband stopped her and asked her to show him what she was carrying under her cloak. And when she opened her cloak, the bread she had been carrying had transformed into roses. After her husband died, she built a hospital and spent the rest of her life working to heal others. Now, Connie, during this same meditation, received a message from Imhotep, the ancient Egyptian god of medicine and healing. I found her message interesting, but I didn't pay a lot of attention to it. I really didn't think too much about it. Now, the next morning, I'm still thinking about what had happened the previous evening, and I heard a voice say, "That wasn't Beth." I just laughed. I'm like, okay, yesterday she was Liz, today she's Beth. What's going on here? That wasn't Beth, that was Emotep. And it was kind of like those light bulb things that they show in cartoons, right? I suddenly realized what the larger message was. This was a time for bringing sustenance to people. It was about love, understanding, peace, and healing. It didn't matter who from the heavens came forth to herald that message. Just as it didn't matter if I called St. Elizabeth Liz or Beth. It also didn't matter if we identified that energy as St. Elizabeth, as Emotep, as Danvatari, a Hindu god of medicine and the creator of Ayurveda. I'll say it right eventually. The medicine Buddha, Bridget, the Celtic goddess of healing, or Raphael, the angel of healing. It didn't matter what avatar we believed in, or even if we really believed in heavenly or celestial messengers at all. The message was still the same. So rather than looking at the message from the perspective that I was right and Connie was wrong, or vice versa, if Emotep came forward because he was the truth and St. Elizabeth was my own Catholic biases revealing themselves. Rather than that, the message was to find the common ground. Regardless of the avatar that appeared, the message we were receiving was transcending the human boundaries of assigning an importance to a name or a level. Would the message have been any different coming from my grandma than it would have been coming directly from Jesus? It would still have been the same message, that the world needed time to heal and to be fed on love, understanding, and peace. Common ground. All right, I did say we would have a reading, so now it's time for me to share the one I chose for today. And this is just a small excerpt from Shinshin Ming, Verses on the Faith Mind, by Sangastan, third Zen patriarch. The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. When love and hate are both absent, everything becomes clear and undisguised. Make the smallest distinction, however, and heaven and earth are set infinitely apart. If you wish to see the truth, then hold no opinion for or against. The struggle of what one likes and what one dislikes is the disease of the mind. When the deep meaning of things is not understood, the mind's essential peace is disturbed to no avail. So what does this mean? When love and hate are both absent? I haven't studied the Zen masters, but I don't believe that the verse is talking about love in the true sense of the word. Love as the divine thread that we come from that connects us. That is the light, the fuel within each of us. If we could all find and remain in that love, then I think the world would be a very different place. Now, in this context, I believe love is more about attachment to beliefs, ideals, things in the physical world. To me, this verse is speaking about becoming passionately in love with our own biases, our own understanding of what is true and what is important. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a space for passion in this physical realm that we live in. If it were not for passion, we wouldn't have great art, music, literature. We wouldn't have the angels who, clothed in human garb, speak up for those who are underrepresented and oppressed in our society, those who are persecuted or are not allowed a voice. But if not handled gently and compassionately, the flames of passion can burn out of control, consuming love and fueling hatred. Our Zen poem says, if you wish to see the truth, then hold no opinion for or against. I see this meaning that truth is there in the common ground, not in your side or my side, somewhere right in the middle. What I learned from that oracle group in the beginning of COVID is that truth is disguised with many different forms, different voices, different beliefs. And I may never find it, especially if I'm waiting for some kind of massive staff to come crashing down onto the earth emphatically with a booming voice declaring this is truth. I may begin to find it if I look for the common ground between what I think I believe and what someone else thinks they believe. Remember my litany of I don't believe-ins back when I thought I was receiving some kind of new, never before heard divine revelations, which, by the way, none of them were actually new or either. It's another story. When I take a moment to quell the waves of my passionate rightness, when I stop approaching from the perspective of what I didn't believe and instead started looking at what I did believe, held up against a backdrop of other beliefs, there was always common ground. And it turns out that just like with the ghosts, most of the things that I thought I didn't believe in, I really actually do. Maybe a little differently than some other people, but that doesn't change the fact that I do believe. Now, I'm not going to bring this talk around to the bear in the room. And maybe it's the bear in the woods that I'm not going to address. We're probably all thinking that belief in ghosts, past lives, demons, or even avatars delivering divine healing messages are not really the major issues that plague our society right now. But I guess that maybe if I can start changing my perspective on the smaller things and stop approaching them from an I don't believe stance, then maybe the bigger subjects will naturally follow. Maybe if I can learn to not be so passionately in love with my own version of the truth on these smaller things and not immediately dismiss the perspective of others. Maybe if I can find the common ground when it comes to these subjects, maybe the rest will come naturally. Because in the end, I do believe that there is common ground in everything. I believe now that everything that I think I didn't believe in has some part of it that I do believe in. It just may take a moment of Zen to be able to find it. As it said in Shin Ming, if you wish to see the truth, then hold no opinion for or against. Because the truth will not be found on any side, your side or my side, because it's somewhere right in the middle where those sides intersect. Thank you.